All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. Listen in and level up. I have a great episode for you today, but first, as always, let's get through the show notes. If you're not following the Facebook page, head over to Facebook, type SideQuest Fitness into the search bar, and like the page. There, you're going to get updates on podcast episodes, articles when they get posted, and you're going to get a brand new taco recipe every Tuesday for taco camp. Plus lots of other shenanigans and nerd talk throughout the week, so make sure you head over to Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is SideQuestFM. If you want to see some cool videos and random stuff on Instagram as well, you can follow me on Instagram. Same handle, SideQuestFM. Or follow me on Snapchat, SideQuestFit. Follow me there. Send me your questions. I want to get all the questions from you, help you as much as I can on your fitness journey or your journey in life, whatever it may be. But head over to Snapchat, SideQuestFit. Follow me there. You get a little more personal, in-depth look at the shenanigans I get into throughout every day. But I do love getting questions from the community, so please send them out to me. If you have not left a review for the podcast, please head over to iTunes. If you're not listening on iTunes and you listen on SoundCloud or Stitcher, leave a review there as well. When you leave reviews, it helps me move up the charts on the iTunes store so that more people can see and hear the amazing guests that I've had on and have on each and every single week. So make sure you head over there. And don't forget, if you haven't picked up your copy of the 7 Principles of Fat Loss, head over to sidequestfitness.com/7 principles, and you can pick up your copy of the 7 Principles of Fat Loss. These are the same 7 principles I follow each and every day and teach my clients to help them shred away more body fat, unlock heroic strength, and just look better naked. So if you want to unlock strength or just look better naked in the mirror, head over again, grab those 7 principles of fat loss, and start following those today. With 2017 right around the corner, that means you are starting to think about New Year's resolutions. Fitness and getting in shape is one of the biggest resolutions people make every year. But every year, halfway through January, almost 30% of people have given up. They quit. 6 months in, that number is even smaller, or people who are still going with their New Year's resolution. But why wait? Why wait until the gyms get packed in January? Why put it off until after the holidays? Start today. I still have a few spots open in my online coaching program. So if you're interested in losing fat, building strength, or gaining muscle this winter, head over to sidequestfitness.com/coach and apply today. My program is custom designed for your specific goals. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do or not to do to help you finally achieve your goal of gaining strength, losing fat, or building muscle. You have constant accountability. I know what it's like to do this by yourself. It's dangerous to go alone. And most of the time, that's what you try to do in the new year. You try and do this alone. You hire a trainer at the local gym, but they only keep you accountable when you see them. And the real battle is out in the real world, not in the gym. The real world is where you spend the majority of the time. And with an online coach, you have access to me 24/7 to answer your questions and help you succeed in your goals. You can consider me your Gandalf guiding you on your quest. You also get access to an app that I use online that you can use on your phone, so your program is right there no matter what, with videos to guide you through the exercises if you have any questions on anything. So if you want to stop feeling weak, unconfident, or depressed about how you look naked, then head over to sidequestfitness.com/coach and apply today. And let's start kicking some ass together. Let's get your goals on track for the new year. And let's not wait until 2017 to get started. Let's start today. Let's start kicking some ass, shredding some fat, putting on muscle, or leveling up your strength today. So head over to sidequestfitness.com/coach and apply. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I have a great show for you today. It is Star Wars week on the podcast. So with the release of Rogue One in theaters, we're talking nothing but Star Wars. This week's solo episode is going to go into why Star Wars is important and why we need it as a culture and as human beings and what it means to me. Because it is a huge deal, and I'm super stoked for the story of Rogue One and where they're going. So let's hop into the show now.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key band right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.
I have one rule when it comes to watching Star Wars. No talking. From anyone. Ever. Doesn't matter who you are, you don't speak while we watch the movies. Doesn't matter. Don't speak. Except for the prequels. That's okay. The originals, no speaking. Star Wars is a huge, huge part of my life. And as a giant nerd as well, I'm sure it's a part of your life as well. The first time I was ever introduced to Star Wars, oddly enough, was through the Ewok movies, but I didn't know that as a kid. I just thought they were movies about walking, sort of weird, talking teddy bears. And I love teddy bears. But my cousin told me about Star Wars, showed it to me, hooked, done, over with. I was ready to do nothing but dedicate my life to this awesome, awesome film. I got the VHSs. I got the special editions. I was in the theater when the special editions came out. I was there first day of episode 1, episode 2, and Revenge of the Sith at midnight. And then I was there opening night of episode 7. I'll be there opening night for Rogue One as well. But Star Wars is important in life more than just being an awesome film series and more than just being a movie that I love. So I've been doing a lot of reading over the last little bit and really digging into the backstory of Star Wars and what has influenced it, most notably Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. It's been something that I've really noticed a lot in storytelling archetypes over the last year as I've really gotten into Campbell's work. And you can see it in a lot of the things that I love in video games like Pokemon Go. Well, Pokemon really. You can see it in things like Mario Brothers. You can see it in movies like The Matrix, books like Harry Potter and the Harry Potter movies, and as well as Star Wars. It's one of the oldest forms and archetypes of storytelling. And you can see it in the journey in Tales of Hercules. You can see it in Tales like the Odyssey, and throughout all the like religious myths that have passed down throughout time. There are these archetypal sort of stories that we tell. Star Wars is one that involves, good and evil, the hero going on a journey, meeting friends, going into the belly of the well, if you will, in like the Death Star, transforming, changing his life and becoming better than who he was, and then returning, to celebrate victory over the demon, the dragon, Darth Vader, whatever it is. My mentor, John Romanello, talks a lot about the hero's journey, and he said that he thinks it's a great archetype for looking at how to improve your life, and I agree with him. But thinking about Star Wars and what it does and what it says and how it influences my life, 90% of how I view the world goes back into Star Wars. I'll have conversations with my wife and talk about problems or talk about solutions, and it always goes back to Star Wars. I'm talking to my friends about things going on in my life and obstacles and challenges, and somehow, some way, I mention, Darth Vader or lightsaber fights or Luke Skywalker, Jedi, or Han Solo or whatever. It doesn't matter. I connect with Star Wars like I have never connected with anything else in my life. And I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast recently, really just about a week ago before I recorded this. And I knew I wanted to record a podcast on why I love Star Wars. And it was going to be very short. And I was going to talk about a couple of scenes and a couple of things. But I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. He had Dr. Jordan Peterson on. And it's a really great show. I'll have the show notes. I'll have the link in the show notes. So just head over to sidequestfitness.com/podcast. Find the Star Wars episode and get the show notes there with this awesome YouTube video. But he talked about how society in and of itself has sort of moved away from myth. And we need these myths because these myths, myths like Hercules, myths like Thor, all these ancient old stories that even Star Wars falls into and Harry Potter falls into. They're archetypes that show us how to live our lives. They give us an example of what to do when trouble comes your way. How do you defend against evil? How do you work your way to be a better person? How do you deal with the problems that the hero has? Because you are very much like the hero. Your life could be very much like him through your problem. And one thing Jordan said in this interview really stuck out to me, because I know I've been talking about it a lot on the podcast, and I think it's something that we all do in our life, whether it's fitness, whether it's self-improvement, whether it's relationships, whether it's starting a business, whatever. As kids, we all have this desire to do something awesome and change the world. We want to be a superhero. We want to be Spider-Man and save the day. We want to be Captain America and save the day. You want to be Luke Skywalker running around stopping, the Sith from taking over and, defending good. If you want to change the world, you have to start by changing yourself. And that's what the hero's journey is really all about. The hero wants to change the world, but the world is only changed once he's completely gone through the process of changing himself. So let's look at it through the Star Wars lens. Let me go over the hero's journey real quick, just a brief sort of synopsis. I've covered this in my Pokemon Go article before, but the hero's journey there's a little bit more to it, but you can break it down in these sort of 12 steps. You have the introduction to the ordinary world, so that's the rebels coming by, the Empire shooting them. We're introduced to this giant space opera. The call to adventure is when the hero is asked to come out on this great adventure. He refuses the call. Much like many of us are like, I guess I should get in shape. Nah, I'll just wait. We refuse that call to take action. Or, at the bar, trying to hit on a girl when you're younger. No, I'm not. And you talk yourself out of it. Refusal of the call. After the refusal of the call, then you meet with a mentor. That mentor could be someone like Obi-Wan, Gandalf, whoever they meet, someone that is greater than them, that has knowledge that they will give to that person. They cross a threshold. This is entering into the unordinary world, the extraordinary world. Crossing the threshold would pretty much be Luke going into the Falcon, into the Cantina, and crossing into this new world. Test allies and enemies. You're tested along the way. In my Pokemon piece, I talked about how this is going out and battling Pokemon, and you're taking them from enemies to allies and taking them on your quest. The approach is basically the entire long sort of quest. Number 8 is ordeal, death, and rebirth. Usually this is quantified through some sort of dive into a dungeon. So in Lord of the Rings, when they go into the mines, that's sort of the ordeal into death and rebirth. Reward, seizing the sword, getting the elixir. The road back is the road back to the ordinary world. Then you cross in to sort of a resurrection point where the hero is brought back and changed, and then they return to their people with the elixir. But you can see how this works. Think about this on all the video games you ever played. You're introduced to Skyrim. There's this call to adventure. You sort of refuse the call. Like, there's always that sort of refusal where the hero's like, no, it can't be me. But okay, sure. It's a really small point in the refusal. Then you meet with a mentor. You get that first person who shows you how to play the game, how to get along. Crossing the threshold is going out into the new world after that first introductory level. Test allies, people that you get, dragons that you face, bears and whatnot. The approacher is your quest. That's all your quests. There's always something that sort of changes your character, some ordeal, something that happens that completely turns the game on its head. The reward is leveling up, getting the power that you needed. The road back is heading back. Resurrection is the complete change of who you are, and then you return back to the ordinary world. You become the hero. You've saved the day. I'll put that in Star Wars tense in a little while. But the hero's journey is an archetype used in Star Wars. It's used in a lot of things. I think it's used in almost everything that I love. I'm just now slowly starting to see it happen more often than not. So this hero's journey, if you think about it in looking into you and looking into yourself, another great moment from that podcast with Joe Rogan, was when Jordan Peterson said that you have to look inward and sort yourself out to change the world. So before anything else can happen, you have to look within yourself. And you're going to go through all of those hero's journey steps within yourself to make those changes. So let's look at sort of how that idea works with Luke. Ordinary world, introduced to Tatooine, call to adventure. Hey, you got to go to Alderaan with me. Nah, screw you, old man. I don't want to go. Shows up at home. Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen are burnt, crispy, toasty skeletons. Oh no. Guess I will go with this old mentor that I've met in Obi-Wan. Crossing the threshold is entering into like the cantina, getting on the Falcon and leaving. They've got allies now. They've got tests. They've got a getaway. And then the ordeal, the into the belly of the beast is when they go into the Death Star. They're sucked into that world and now have to escape. They've now escaped, and the reward, the season of the sword, is the data from R2, and they saved the princess. Another common theme you see in Heroes myths, saving the damsel in distress. The road back is to Yavin, but the real resurrection that sort of happens in all of this, where Luke is sort of changed, in my opinion, and some people can argue with me on this, where he really finds the power in himself is after Obi-Wan dies. Obi-Wan dies, sacrifices himself, Luke goes off, gets the Yavin, cool, we're going to take down the Death Star, and that's the big thing that they have to do. But the entire time they're there, Luke is trusting his computer. He's using it to target TIE fighters, to maneuver down the trench. Also, quick tangent on that, the trench run is also the dirtiest, like, innuendo-laden scene in film history, in my opinion. But as he's going down that, he's using his computer. We see the targeting screen. So think about that. What Jordan Peterson said, look inward and sort yourself out to change the world. He's relying on the world outside of himself, not his own power. Yeah, he saw little glimpses of it when he was training with Obi-Wan and the Falcon, but not, he didn't really understand it. But now he hears Ben, and Ben says, trust yourself. So he turns off the computer. That is the sort of real resurrection point. That's where he really changes as a character. What's great about Star Wars is it uses character types that have spanned millennia and connect us to those same archetypes that we know. The young aspiring hero, the evil, overlord that is holding the people back and holding them down. The dragon, or the seven-headed beast, or the Cyclops, or whatever it is, that mythical, fearful beast that's keeping us down. And this time it is sort of Vader in the sense, and the Empire in the sense of Star Wars. But another theme that runs through a lot of the hero's journey is that you have to face the thing that frightens you the most. The Death Star frightened the rebels. They had to take it down. They had just escaped it, and now they got to fly back and destroy it after they just left the place. So they feared it. They feared that thing, but it was the one thing that the rebels had to take down. Luke goes into the cave. Now, this scene has its own sort of special place in my heart, and I've written a piece before called My Father is Darth Vader, or was Darth Vader, about issues growing up with my dad and how that scene is always connected to me. But you have to master your problems. You can't let those problems make you a victim. Because, sort of like what I talked about in that piece about my dad, we find, and this is something that really harps into the hero's journey, when you really dig into this stuff, you realize that Star Wars is influenced by a lot of this. Harry Potter is influenced by a lot of this. And I've said that before, but the big thing that happens with a lot of these characters is they're so trapped in their past. They don't see the future. They don't see the now. They don't see that they are the reason for many of their own problems. So they've got to master their problems. They have to face the thing that they don't want to face. Luke did it in the cave. He did it in Cloud City. And then he did it again on the second Death Star. Because we can't hide from those things. The hero can't hide from that. For the hero to succeed, he has to face the dragon. He has to go in to the cave. So the only way to face your problems and your issues is to look inside. And I think that's one of the things that Star Wars really teaches us, and one of the things that I've always loved about the stories and why it connects with me. Now, I maybe should have started this post or this episode out with this, but for those of you who've heard a few times, in the past I thought that I wanted to be a preacher. I thought that I wanted to be a minister. But something about Star Wars always sort of spoke to me more than the actual like Christian religion that I was brought up in. Something about it. I don't know what it was. And maybe it's this archetype. Maybe it's the way the story is told with the hero. And I saw Luke in myself. I saw Vader in myself. Vader being my father in this instance. I saw all of those things. So Star Wars spoke to me. There's a great moment in the episode with Joe Rogan where Peterson, admits that, he's a scientist and he has beliefs. And he says, we need the metaphysical foundations of myths to help us process our lives, to show us how to live. And Star Wars does that. Harry Potter does that. All the things that I love as a nerd and as a geek, even video games, if I look at them through the lens of the hero's journey, Mario's done it, Link has done it, Ash has done it in Pokemon. They show you how to live, how to solve your problems, how to achieve your dreams, how to keep pushing, how to keep going, how to be smart, how to make changes, how to see the patterns that are in front of you and how to get by those patterns. There's something else that flows through the veins of Star Wars and why it's so important to me. There's this sense of hope, this sense that life is more. And I'm going to play a couple quick seconds. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for doing this, because this scene in Star Wars, still, every single time I see it or think about it, it hits me right in the stomach. And I think you know it. It's the binary sunset on Tatooine. And maybe it's the strings, but just listen to it and think about what that scene means to you, and I'll tell you what it means to me. When you hear this, every single time I hear it, when that violin swells, when it starts to go up, I just cannot tell you how amazing it feels inside. Because in that moment, I know what it's like to be Luke. I remember being a kid and thinking, there's so much more to this world, so much more that I can do. And I remember those feelings, and I still feel that way. I still feel that Star Wars is that beacon of hope that tells me, you can do awesome things. You can live an awesome, cool-ass life. You can chase your dreams. You can be more than just some kid who grew up on a farm in the middle of bumfuck North Carolina, miles away from everyone. That's why I connected with Luke. Luke was on a desert planet. I was 30 minutes from my closest friend in the middle of nowhere. Maybe that's why I connected with Star Wars more than anything, is because I saw myself in that character. Because that character is an archetype. Some people like to say that, Star Wars is just stereotypical characters and there's no depth to it. That's because they don't understand. They don't understand that these archetypes are something we all have inside of us. We all have hopes and dreams. We all want to, in some way, change the world and be more and live for more. And Star Wars is sort of that. It shows us that we can. It gives us hope that we can do more with our lives than being poor dirt moisture farmers in Tatooine. There's so much more that I've written down about what Star Wars means to me and where I connect with it. And I really do want to ask that you head over to sidequestfitness.com/podcast and watch start watching the Joe Rogan interview. The whole thing is really amazing. Listen to it. It's like 3 hours long. Listen to it one day at work. Or fast forward up to where there's about an hour left and listen to the last like 45 minutes and have your mind blown. Because it's a whole talk on about mythology and why it's important to our society, and why movies like Star Wars and Harry Potter show us things that, as C-3PO said in A New Hope, we seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life. Because we watch the story of Anakin suffer. We watch the rebellion suffer. We watch all of this and we connect with that because life can be painful. But we can choose the direction that we want to go. And that's what Star Wars shows us. That's what Harry Potter shows us. That yes, it is painful to go into the cave and fight the basilisk. It is painful to go into the Death Star and go through all of that. It is painful to show up in Cloud City and get your hand chopped off by your dad. But the point is, it can still be a great life. You choose whether you're going to live a life of destruction like Darth Vader and the dark side, or you choose whether you're going to live a life like Luke and choose goodness over evil. Because when we break it down, that's the story we've been telling since the span of time, is good versus evil. Going into the bowels of hell to defeat the dragon and return back to show our people that we have conquered that which we feared. And in today's world, we have a lot to fear. Some of it is reasonable. Some of it probably isn't that big of a deal, but they're still legit fears that we have. And I think that's the greatest truth that Star Wars shares. Dive into the Death Star. Jump into that cave. Go into the darkness. Be the hero. Because in the end, all of these stories, the hero's journey, everything that all of those archetypes tell us is it's just trying to tell us that there is a hope and that we can conquer the things that we fear the most. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I hope you love Star Wars as much as I do. And if you do, let me know. sidequestfitness@gmail.com. I love to chat Star Wars and your undying love for the greatest film series in history. I'll see you next time.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is, you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key band right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.